Looks like we are good to go. Hello, friends. Hello to the casual viewer. If it's your first time, welcome. If you're back for another heap and helping of East Texas University, welcome back. We are glad that you found us, recording the annals of these fine college students as they attempt to balance the supernatural with relationships and young budding love and, of course, exams and trying to get an education. We are playing with the Savage Worlds rule set. Savage Worlds brought to you by Shane Hensley and Clint Black. Currently, we are playing the Swade, S-W-A-D-E, Savage Worlds Adventurers Deluxe Edition, I believe it is. And built atop of Swade is, of course, East Texas University, ETU, which is a slightly modified rule set built atop of Swade. In fact, it came a little bit before Swade, and they put out an update PDF to bring the rules up in concordance with Swade. East Texas University, as I mentioned, the tales of college students in Texas, trying to balance all the aspects of their life. It's been likened to a combination of Scooby-Doo and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, mixed with a couple of tablespoons of Stranger Things, as the players try to make their way through and survive until graduation. East Texas University, of course, brought to us by Preston DeBose and Ed Wetterman. Thank you, gentlemen, for your hard work. Corey, you ran this campaign 3, almost 4 years ago. We had so much fun, we picked up these characters and decided to run with them. I don't know. I initially thought maybe another 4 sessions, maybe just through the the Black Guard module was, with the Nazis and the undead, and we just had so much fun and just started sprinkling more and more of the plot point adventures in here that today we bring episode 27, I think. So we're 27 sessions in, and I don't see an end in sight. So hopefully we'll get to keep playing. But Corey, thank you for inspiring us back in those early days where probably we didn't know that much about Savage Worlds and even less about East Texas University. That rule set kind of built on top of Savage Worlds. Duff, the owner, operator, managing CEO of Prater's Rejects, a presence both on the YouTubes, on Twitch, and of course also now one of the adventure sets is also available in podcast form, a run through of Rime of the Frost Maiden. So I think it's available on Spotify. So if listening in your car or while doing other things, maybe at work, writing slinging code like I do, you need something in the background playing, Rime of the Frost Maiden on Spotify. I think characters are about level 5, so hopefully a lot of good times left there as well. So yeah, Prater's Rejects, whatever you like, there's probably something that suits you. Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, Savage Worlds. Looks like again Duff is going to be running whatever the latest incarnation of the Aliens adventure set is. Kids on Bikes, that new Strixhaven game. I guess it's sort of like young magic-using students going to a college of magic, that sort of Hogsworthy kind of milieu. Also, either in its early inception or currently in a week or bi-week kind of a show. And who am I forgetting? Phil Cho over there on DeviantArt. Thank you so much for posting your artwork. I'm just about ready to sign up and start throwing $10 a month at your artwork, at your efforts, because I really do like what you've provided, and for my needs, it is exactly suitable for this game. Little sketches of all the various characters that you provided are just perfect for Savage Worlds East Texas University. Let's see. My players, thanks for putting up with me and my strange sense of humor, and for throwing artwork at me uh, across the interwebs, as it were, giving me that force multiplier I like to talk about. It's one thing to run a game, it's another thing to run a game in which the players are engaged and having fun and letting the person running the game know that they're having fun, getting some enjoyment, some pleasure out of it, a break from the drudgery of the day to day, go to work or go to school and, washing dishes and doing laundry and, trying to earn a paycheck and all that. So, um, as much as you throw back at me, I redouble my efforts in a force multiplication sort of factor and try to throw it back at you and just put that little bit of extra effort into the game to keep it just fun. And again, your engagement is much appreciated. And I think that's it. I think we are ready to get started. Last time we played, let's see, I had a birthday. I spent a week in Portugal. Had some fun doing a little of this, a little of that. Seems like we've played three weeks ago, maybe. It's quite possible that it's been 4 weeks. I don't know. I lost track of
Yeah.
time. We were talking a little bit about things that went on in the last session, a couple threads that are unresolved, some of the storylines that are sort of interwoven together. Some are parallel and don't really intersect, but some of them do have a fair degree of crossover. The players traveled in and about the town of Pinebox, Texas, visited some old friends, cultivated some sort of budding relationships with others, such as Forrester Harris, the rather gnome-like proprietor of Pinebox Pawn. Also visited Paul Vanderhorn off-site. He has some acreage outside of town. This is where the Renaissance Fair was held on his property. He purchased some items and put in a request to try out maybe creating a few items that these players may find useful in the encounters and the battles and the combats still to come. Also, at the Risen Church, visited Father Gene Michaels and did talk him out of, I forget how many it was. It was either 6 or 8 precious drops of his own blood as required as a ritual component of the healing ritual. Um, he was
That's
rather,
wow.
rather easy to persuade him as he understood the sort of activities that the three of you have dedicated yourselves to most recently. In fact, in the past year of school through your freshman year. Now we are just about halfway through sophomore year already. Time flies. Session 27. Going to pull up party sheet. Yeah, got it right the first time. Do wonders ever cease, my friends? Going to reset bennies. Oh,
Aw.
oh, those stacks of bennies. Just like poker chips, a stack of 6 went down to like a stack of 3. Let me think back. I don't think I owe anyone an extra benny, say for doing really well on their exams, or um, I think the edges that Sophia has are automatically
Yeah.
computed by fantasy
I'm
grounds
good.
So many.
Unity, and of course throughout the session, ample opportunity to earn more of these little chips, the little coin of the realm. Fantasy Grounds provides this automation to. In Savage Worlds, the Benny is a way to take a reroll if you really want to take the chance of doing better, or change maybe what you have in your backpack in some small way. An item you may have forgotten suddenly appears if you burn one of those precious resources and say, yeah, I really wish I'd brought that little wood chopping hatchet, that small axe. For a Benny, I think that's reasonable. And if it's something you really want, we'll make it so. Any other loose ends the players want to bring up? Else, we're just going to dive right back in. I'm all ears.
I think we're pretty good because I know when it comes to Vanderbilt, he said I think in 2 to 3 days there would be, because I know that Ava asked him if he could customize a knife for her,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's the only thing that Ava actually asked for.
Was a customization of a knife for Shep or
No,
yourself?
for Ava.
Was it the one that was going to be sort of a switchblade, but as big as a Bowie knife?
It
I
was
think that
like
was Shep's.
Okay.
no, that was his.
Describe to me
She
the.
wanted to. I remember that she was like, she asked him for a knife and that he would take one
That's
of the
right.
knives, I
That's right.
believe, and then
That's right.
customize it to look like a oh my god, like one of the Renaissance weapons, but like proper,
Yes.
like a little
She
Renaissance
wanted
weapon.
she wanted an elf knife.
An elf knife. Oh
like
my god, if only, right?
like those elves that summon squirrels. I think that's what they did,
What
don't they?
squirrel? There was no
Squirrel.
squirrel. There are no squirrels in Pine Box.
No such thing as squirrels in Pine Box.
Yeah. It's quite
Just
possible
Squirrel
at
Girl.
one
Was
time.
feeding squirrels with his trail mix.
All right. So we re-arrive back at Mary Lynn's used books and Emporium.
Wonderful.
You have accepted from Mary Lynn an overworked African American gal that tries to run this shop, taking orders, searching for a book on one of the many shelves to help someone that's looking for something of interest to them, while completely running the coffee bar and in some way trying to keep the bathrooms clean, the floor swept, the sidewalk out front hosed off, and somehow trying to balance the books. She's kind of a one gal show. She's been doing it all, and she is immensely relieved to have two of you, Shep and Ava, even
Yup,
just coming to
that's
help out, sometimes at lunch or in the afternoon during the busiest times of day, just so she can take care of some of the stuff that has unfortunately had to fall by the wayside. So she did give you one key with the promise of a second key as soon as she could find the time to get to the local hardware, the Johnson's hardware store, to get a second key made by a locksmith. As you approach Mary Lynn's used books and Emporium, you see that, true to her word, she has taped to the inside of the window, to the inside of the front door, um, a picture of a pretty young girl with pale skin and long red hair. And the banner says, almost missing for a year, disappeared St. Patrick's Day of last year. Last seen at the Pizza Barn. You Kelly
nice done.
King. Kelly King, ETU student from Boston, Massachusetts. Gone but not forgotten. If you know of her, please contact Pinebox Police Department. Last seen Pizza Barn around 10:45 p.m. ish. So almost gone a year, probably over 10 months, not quite a year. And as promised, she did tape that flyer up to the inside of the door. You also saw or witnessed Mir, one of your roommates, selling a small stack of 8x10 glossies, black and whites, to Lester Fagan, who
Oh yeah.
was with you in the Pinebox Cemetery, and he's excited to have some pictures of an actual, true to life, honest to God chupacabra, which really looked
Whatever you want.
rather like a baboon zombie or some such that he did throw in the back of his old beat up Jeep Renegade soft top that was patched and held together probably by a duct tape. And yeah, Ava, in or about your person, somewhere stuck into the leaves of a book, you did take that embossed scribing where you laid a piece of white paper over that band that was around its leg,
Yes, indeed.
and sort of ran that edge of that pencil over it and captured the raised lettering upon that. And just for fun, let's say Ava, I'd like you to let's make it a performance roll, shall we? Let's make it a performance roll to get this party started. Notice is a good roll, but it's overused. It's like everything you don't really doesn't fall into a neat category, tends to fall in. So we'll call it performance, or untrained at a -2, should you be so obliged. Even with the D4, still managed to get a 6. Even with the -2, you still managed to get a 6, such as the just the mechanics of the Savage Worlds rule set. That if you roll a die and you max it out, then you roll it again and just keep adding it. As long as that D6 comes up a 6 or that D4 comes up a 4, you just keep adding and rolling. So it is not unusual, and my friends here have witnessed this before. If you only have a 6 or a 4 in a skill, you can roll hypothetically, well, more than hypothetically, in practice, you can roll up in the 20s, for like a super success. And we call each multiple of 4 over your target number, which is generally a 4, is called a raise. And when you roll that maximum number on a die, generally we call that acing. So, there are striations, there are degrees of success. Like if you want to notice something, and you just make that plain old vanilla 4 target number, so a 4, 5, 6, or a 7, you notice something. But if you start hitting those raise totals by multiples of 4, so after a 4, an 8 is the next strata that gives you 1 raise, you might notice something a little bit more. And with 2 raises, you might have really gotten the nitty-gritty details. You might have noticed something that it would take someone, a very keen observer, or just by luck of the way that the light was shining on, something, make something up. You may have noticed something. So with that only a D4 -2, because you're not trained in performance, you still managed to perform very well when you were sort of making that. What do you want to call that, Ava? Like a rub? Is that what you call that when you do that etching? And you're left with a piece of paper with
when she did the oh my gosh, what is it? Yeah, I think it would count as a rub, because she took the paper and took a pencil and went over it.
Yeah. Right before that long string of letters and numbers, that alphanumeric sequence, you see the letters, small case, AB number 2. So the little letter A, the little letter B, the number sign, the pound, the tic-tac-toe sign symbol.
Yeah.
And the number 2. So it looks like there was a fainter string of digits that may have just preceded that number that you did get an excellent etching of, an excellent rub of. But it looked like there was a little bit more right before that, and you see AB number 2.
Yeah.
You enter Mary Lynn's used book and Emporium.
And it's evening time?
It is almost closing time.
All right.
You see, let's see, characters, images. Yeah, since they changed the Fantasy Grounds Unity layout here just a little bit, it still takes me just a second or 2 to find my way around, especially after not playing for, a tiny march of weeks. I thought I had this image saved under personalities.
Forgive me 1 second.
I didn't.
I missed a call from my mother, and I have to call her back.
Okay. So Ava.
You can't blame that on shit.
Ava fails notice rolls for the next 5 minutes. You see a young man, a college-age student. He's one of those students that is trying hard to look a little bit older by growing like a beard and a mustache. But it looks like an adolescent's lame attempt at growing a beard and mustache. It's thin, it's scraggly, it's a little patchy. Nevertheless, this student sort of pushes his way past you, mumbles, "Excuse me," as you guys are coming in the door. We didn't bump into you, we didn't barge through you, but in that one moment, that split second of just like what's the right etiquette as you were opening the door, which opens outward, he was kind of at the door ready to come out, and you held the door for him. He mumbled, "Excuse me." He's kind of, you can imagine him being a little bit like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Kind of walks with a slouch, kind of hunched over. If you describe him in a word, you might say slacker, but you never know. Johnny Schaaf didn't look like much either, but he was a very skilled entomologist student, studying insects and pheromones and mating habits of bugs, and he didn't look like much either, right? So
he was perfectly healthy until he met a bat.
Yeah, not the flap kind either. So you walk in and you see I've posted a picture of this doctor. I don't believe you've ever met him before. You may have seen him in passing, as he does work at the student union as a sort of like a student's resources counselor. This is the doctor who signed off on all the damage done to the third floor of the applied sciences building.
Yes.
There were shards of broken glass from a pretty mangled up photocopier. There were sheafs and reams of paper that had been ripped open and mixed with water that had a rather pleasant smell to it. Smelled of scented oil, sort of. And of course, what appeared to be suspiciously like blood, especially in the one sort of resources room where the photocopier and some shelves, sheet metal shelves.
Ava wreaks havoc, doesn't she?
Say again, please.
I said Ava wreaks havoc, doesn't she?
She does. She does.
I think that, man, that was where I jacked up my leg.
That's right.
Gosh darn it. I had to roll around in a chair.
That thing was chasing you on that little wheeled table, rammed you right in the knee. It sure did. But this is the gentleman. This is Dr. Sisamba. I think is how you would pronounce his name. I'll widen the image of Sisemba. From that one poor student whose name I'm sure I have written down, unless somebody... Stan Record. Yes, Stan Record. The chubby guy with the sort of sandy blonde hair and the red sweatshirt who was cheating on exams, trying to photocopy after hours, photocopy some of the teacher's sample exam material that he'd gotten from some nefarious, probably from like a fraternity or something like that. All that damage up in the resources center. This doctor signed off on, although they may have been able to trace it to the three of you. They did not. And in fact, Millie, who is sort of Ava's friend, the Hispanic woman that works in the library, tapped in to the reports site and was scrolling through some of the security, the East Texas University security website, going line by line through the recent reports, and did find a report had been written and submitted about that damage, but there was nothing like left open-ended about it. It was closed, and the damages would be covered. Student nervous breakdown caused by stress and exams was likely the one-liner that was in that record. Millie doesn't have complete access to really dig into all the ins and abouts and what fors, but she was able to access the one-liner report from that evening. So he's sitting there. When you look at him, instantly you think African. He just has the bone structure and that ebony complexion of someone who has maybe been born or has just maybe a generation removed from someone born on the African continent. Handsome, very short hair, bright gleaming teeth, and a rather elegant way about him. Looks like he has very long, slender, almost like a pianist's hands, and seems somewhat immaculately kept. And he is shutting a manila folder that was open as you entered. He's sitting at one of the tables sipping a cup of coffee. And he's sort of drumming one of his hands, the fingers of one of his hands, thoughtfully on the tabletop as he sort of gazes off into space. Looks like he's somewhat deep in thought. Also, you hear from across the Emporium, across the bookstore, across the seating area, another friend of yours who you had not seen, for a month or two, but whose presence you had been in at the Ren Fair. It is Brittany Poe. She is in here.
Oh.
And
Pizza
let's
barn
see,
lady.
personality, pizza barn lady. And let's look down. And why don't I have her? Why don't I have a picture of her? I certainly should.
She's the one
You
that has
did.
the scars on her face.
She's the one that has the facial scars.
I remember pictures of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's
Definitely remember her.
You know what?
I'm
thinking that
cool.
maybe when I moved from Fantasy Grounds Classic to Unity, maybe her image wasn't ported over.
Did she get lost?
I lost her. I lost her in the shuffle. But I can easily
no.
bring up. What would I do? I would go to like class dismissed. I would go to like named NPCs. There's a method to my madness here, and hopefully I sorted them by alphabetically. So hopefully there's a BR, and there's not a Brittany Poe there. That is unfortunate.
No, but I do remember her.
That is unfortunate. I don't have her misspelled. Images, data, campaign, Dean's List. A picture of Erica as a clown pops up when I click too fast in Unity. It takes that double click. That way, I'm just kind of like looking to see if I have a picture of her in somewhere like one of my other folders. Now, I'm sure you know what? I'll find it
She's hidden
when I'm not
somewhere.
looking. I'll find it. Oh. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. She was there. She was there. I can share.
Yay.
There's Brittany Poe. There's Brittany
Yay.
Poe.
Yep.
Cool.
She comes over. Sophia, she comes over and hugs you.
Hey.
And then she hugs Ava. And Shep, just because she knows it embarrasses you, she hugs you she lets that hug linger just a little bit too long, and then she kisses you wetly on the cheek. Well, hey, Shep, how are you all doing? She's, as you recall, after you helped determine what the cause of the demise of her Meemaw was, there was a guy named Jimmy Buck that was animating the geriatric retirees and elderly in the Quiet Villas Rest Home, a trailer park in Pinebox, Texas. It was animating them as zombies. Zombies that didn't rot and look like zombies except for their milky white eyes. They were just acting like your retirees would do. Some of them would tend a garden. Some of them would watch that nice, oh, who was it? That nice Bob Barker on The Price is Right. They lost interest. People would come to visit them and they would ask them to leave. They don't recognize them anymore, which is kind of what happened to Brittany's Meemaw. But she had heard that you folks were experienced with sort of unusual things, and indeed you did find out that the cause were these like hubcap size discs of chrome that were mounted in each of the trailers that had some sort of tie-in with an amulet that Jimmy Buck wore. And yeah, because her Meemaw died, left her a little bit of money. And one time you had run into her, I forget where it was. Maybe it was at the Renaissance Fair, or maybe you'd run into her once before that. And maybe you saw her on campus at the end of campus when she was sort of pre-registering for this semester. But she was very excited to tell you that she had taken her inheritance from Meemaw, which was a small sum, and she has decided to get a college degree. So she's like, how are you all doing? It looks like she has a couple of dog-eared, not paperbacks. There are books that look like study materials, but with a not hardback bound. So paperbacks, but not the kind, with fiction, but more like college resources. And it looks like there's like a philosophical treatise on like the Confessions of St. Augustine or something like that. Probably is what is the book that's on the top of her stack that you casually observe. She shows you. She's like, yeah, they want $42.99 for this through the ETU bookstore. I pick it up here just for a prayer.
Man, I know. School books are too expensive.
Right. And look at this. She riffles through it, and she's like, it looks like it's been read, but nobody marked in it. Ain't no highlighters or nothing in it. So, I mean, you can't go wrong for $2.75.
Oh yeah.
Got to make good with Meemaw's money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sun that's beaming in, that evening sun as it's starting to set, shines in and does illuminate a little bit, sort of that long, sort of jagged scar that goes maybe from like the very bridge of her nose, kind of down one of her cheeks, down to her jawline. Doesn't really deduct from her attractiveness. I don't know. It gives her kind of a different kind of a mysterious air about her, kind of I don't know. It just in a way that's hard. Yeah, in a way that's hard to explain it. It kind of adds to her air. So she's like, "What are y'all doing here? Causing trouble, or helping other people get out of trouble?" She winks at you.
We work here.
Yeah.
No, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just got a job here.
Oh, isn't that Mary Lynn the sweetest?
Oh yeah.
Very kind. Works too hard. That's why we're here.
Yeah, she pulls the second book out from the bottom. It looks like it's a workbook. It's Introduction to Algebra. You would think that perhaps Brittany doesn't have much of a math background. She says, she pulled one of these out for me. She says she had a couple and she couldn't find them on the shelves. Darn if she didn't put everything she had to do aside and go back into her workroom. Turned out she had a couple of these in her in boxes that she hadn't put out yet from last semester. And look, this one, she riffles through it. It's only marked on a little bit and it's in pencil.
Nice.
Better.
Yeah.
See? Go to your secondhand bookstores and you'll find everything you need.
You can't go wrong for $3.25, right?
Nah.
Hey, you been to the pizza barn? You been to the pizza barn lately?
Not recently.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Y'all just coming back from break, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did y'all go home?
Sure did.
Oh.
See all of my family. Mm-hmm. Did you go anywhere for Christmas break?
No. I worked a couple doubles. Getting ready, trying to save up a little bit. Because on top of tuition, there's other expenses, right?
Yeah. What is she majoring in?
I'm declared. I'm not declared. I'm not sure. I was thinking like maybe something in the literatures, but I don't know.
Nice.
Well, if you ever take anything in sciences, we can have classes together.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just entering right now, so I'm a one semester behind freshman. But maybe if I need some sort of like whatever, like biology for the non-biological kind of like classes, maybe I'll hit you up. Maybe you can point me towards somebody that can do some tutoring. That's an expense I might have.
Do tutoring.
I did.
Most definitely.
Y'all know I didn't do too good in high school. I sort of wasted my time there for the most part, partying too much, and I didn't take things serious enough. Got into some trouble. Usual high school stuff.
No.
But I'm serious about this now. I'm not. I feel my Meemaw looking over my shoulder, every step along the way, and I know she's going to be happy, when she sees me applying myself.
Mm-hmm.
She would be proud.
How are you going to memorize all those different kind of like latte, half soy, sprinkle of cinnamon things?
Well, can't be that difficult. Everything has a base.
I figure Ava's just going to mark it all up in some sort of fancy chemistry jargon and
yeah,
chemistry based.
I bet you if you give each thing like a symbol, I bet you could remember it real easy.
I have confidence that I will be able to remember how all of this coffee is made.
Yeah, well, at the pizza bar in my first couple of weeks, I thought I'd get fired because I couldn't remember a sausage from a pepperoni from a core whatever that other spicy sausage is. But I don't know now. If you name 17 random pizza toppings, I bet I can get it right. She says that's just practice. That's all college is, right? Just practice.
Perfect.
Just
exactly.
And
the more you practice, the more you do it, the easier it comes by.
And not wait until the last minute to work on assignments that you knew were due 3 weeks ago, right?
Exactly.
We both look over at Sophia.
What? I don't do that.
Do you procrastinate your art projects?
No, of course not. All my projects are on time.
That's
as soon as I remember them. No, as soon as I remember I have a thing to do, I do it.
Standing behind Sophia and just shaking my head.
Like when I remember,
I believe you.
It needs to be done.
She says, "Well, y'all are sophomores, right? I mean,
yeah.
How'd y'all do on your exams? Shep, you must have done really well. You're just studying like DNA and stuff, right?"
I did really well my freshman year.
All right.
This year, I got a little behind, but I'm working back up to it.
All right. Sometimes that's the best you can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the door opens up again. I guess it's somebody else that's leaving. And all of you sort of look because the bell makes like a little jingling noise that's attached to the top on a little spring.
Right.
And she looks at that photograph of Kelly King that's scotch taped to the back of the door. And as the door swings open, actually the door opens out, so she looks at it and she can see as the sun shines through. You're looking through the back of like the printout, and you can see like the larger letters you can kind of see in reverse as the sun shines through the paper, which is shining through the glass door. And she looks at it, she goes, "I remember that."
You know her?
Know her? Nah, never met her, but I remember her. Is that a year already? Gosh darn.
Yeah.
Almost. Since St. Patrick's Day. But
that's right.
Did anything weird happen in St. Patrick's Day last year?
Yeah, all sorts of weird stuff, but it's like,
I remember.
Green and white balloons everywhere, and kind of like tricks like turning the beer green, and serving it, and somehow all the pepperonis got shaped like little clovers. Stuff that we do back in the kitchen.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, we had a
Sounds
hard
like a
time.
lot of work.
No, we have these little like cookie
Trimming
cut.
pepperoni?
No, we get these like little metal cookie cutters. You just kind of press them onto the pepperoni, and it spits out like a little clover shaped thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fun, and everything was green, but she's like, yeah, I remember her though. I remember her. She was sitting at a table with a couple of gals. I guess she was a student, right? At least that's what the sign said.
Yeah.
She looked like she was having a fun time. She had the sort of the palest complexion. It's like her skin was so pale and so thin that you could almost like see through it. Her skin had that not transparent. What's the word? Translucent, translucent,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It would catch the light. It was so. She just had the most flawless, like porcelain complexion. She was a pretty thing. But I remember her, and that striking long red. Her hair looked like it was made out of copper. She's a pretty thing. Some people, try to be Irish on St. Patrick's Day, but I could tell she really had the bloodline.
So she went to the pizza barn. That's right. The last place she was seen was the pizza barn.
Oh yeah, it was Jury of Robots was playing, and they had every couple songs. They had what did they have? Some I don't know what you would call them, like fiddlers, like she makes like a sawing motion, like playing a fiddle. They'd come and play like jigs and stuff, and there was this one little short guy that did the most amazing dancing, and he was sitting at her table. This little like redheaded. No, I didn't have red hair. It was kind of reddish blonde. This little guy, but he was about 5 foot nothing. He says maybe just a skosh taller than you, Ava. But he had like the biggest smile and just the prettiest way about him. And he'd get up there and he'd do that kind of Irish jig dancing. It's like nothing I'd ever seen before. And he was buying drinks, flirting with the girls, and having a marvelous time. Yeah.
Oh wow! Do you know who he is?
Nah.
Like no name to him or anything? Was he a student?
A student? No. He looked older. His hands were kind of gnarly, like he was I don't know, like a field hand or something. Or maybe worked at the mill.
At the mill, huh?
Yeah. But he had a smile and a laugh that really could light up a room. And I heard him talk once or twice, and sure enough, he had the most Irish accent, if you know kind of what I'm saying.
Oh, yes. Gosh, guys. It's a leprechaun.
He was having a blast. And yeah, he was quite having his way with the woman too. I guess he could have had his pick of any of the ones that he was talking to, because they were all just hanging on every word he said, and laughing, and giggling, and kikiing and tittering. So yeah, he stands out. I was stationed on the other half of the pizza barn, not on the right hand side where the band stage is, but on the left hand side, kind of where the mechanical bull is. But yeah, he just had the. I don't know. I'd imagine if you were a prize fighter and you broke your knuckles a bunch of times, that's what his hands looked like. They were kind of, and she makes like a motion with one hand, like this, kind of like arthritic.
Clawed his hands.
Yeah, kind of like arthritic and maybe slightly curled and sore. She said, "Oh, and he could drink too. He could drink."
Oh boy, that's wild.
Yeah. So what have you been up to lately? What sort of like ooh, she says, wiggling one of her hands because her other hand's holding those books. What kind of things have you been doing?
Nothing much. We saw The Wizard of Oz
I heard
at the
about
movie
that.
theater.
I heard about that.
That was a hot mess.
It was some like escaped lunatics from one of the
Exciting.
asylums, right? Had jumped a
Mhm.
train and come up to Pinebox and somehow broke in. I heard a story they'd broken into the like a consignment shop or something and stole a bunch of Wizard of Oz costumes, and they were terrorizing people. A couple people died, the way I understand it.
Oh,
That's
that's
what
what
they
they're
say.
saying.
Yeah, conflicting stories.
As
I heard there's like one of the young sheriff deputies
lots of death.
one of the young sheriff deputies was involved too, and is on has been placed on leave, and they're investigating his hand in like one of the deaths. I don't know. She's kind of shrugs.
Yeah, that was a really big mess.
Yeah. Oh well, it's Pinebox. It's Pinebox, right?
Favorite.
Yeah.
What? 2 out of 10 on the adventure scale.
All right. Listen,
I remember that differently.
I mean, for real, it was a lot of fun. But Ava is probably going to be like,
Yep. So she walks by. She walks by and she's like, "All right, yeah, I'm going to be working there this St. Patrick's Day, unless they fire me for missing too many shifts because I can't keep a course load. But I'm hoping by being prepared and applying myself, early and often that don't happen because it's a fun place to work. I mean, you think, oh, up to your elbows in grease and all that, and coming home, smelling like pizza all the time. But it's a fun place, and we get together and drink after shift pretty often. It's a fun place.
oh.
Anyway, if I don't see you before then on campus, running between classes, maybe I'll see you at the Pizza Barn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or here.
If you ever need help with tutoring, you let me know.
I will. And he's still got those coupons. They're not good on holidays like St. Patrick's Day. It's a special event.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to stop by the Pizza Barn earlier than St. Patrick's Day, guys.
She's
Oh, no doubt. We'll be at the Pizza Barn at some point soon.
Pizza Barn probably has like a local radio catchphrase, like every night's a good night for pizza, something like that. So she'll say, hey, every night's a good night for pizza, right? And she'll wink at you.
Oh yeah.
And she'll head out.
On a college budget, you right?
Yeah. All right.
If it's not pizza, it's the Little Clowns burgers or whatever we had.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
Or ramen.
Yeah.
All right.
Ramen noodles.
And a shout out to Phil Cho. Phil, my friend over at DeviantArt. I continue to use some of the artwork that you've posted, some of these characters. I'll blow in and zoom up a little bit. These are perfect characters, of course. Some of them are carrying clubs and knives and guns. But in a pinch, I need a young shaggy looking guy or a young pretty girl or something like that for a piece of art. Your artwork definitely fits the bill. So thanks for that.
The artwork really fits. I like it.
Yeah, especially like this ETU cowgirl up there enjoying a cup of coffee. she really fits the East Texas University student personality, so to speak. Some of them have magical effects, like this redhead with a ball of sparkly electricity in her hand. But that's okay. We try not to look too close at the stuff that's sort of a non sequitur.
It's okay. It's okay. We can look over some details.
Yeah. So Dr. Sisemba has now stapled his fingers, and he's sort of pressing his 2 index fingers, the very point, against his lip. Not really rhythmically, but he looks like he's somewhat deep in thought. And some of the other people are heading out. Looks like it's getting close to quitting time as more people start to make their way out of the stacks, as we'll call it, this maze of paperback books and other, some hardback books. These various topics. People are starting to leave. And yeah.
So he just looks like he's deep in thought.
He does look like he's deep in thought. He looks, I mean, if you wanted to, I don't know, pick a word, maybe bemused a bit. He doesn't look put out or angry or anything like that. No, looking at him, he has an expression like he is 1,000 miles away, we'll say. Wow. He looks like he's deep in thought, far away. I'll just kind of
We all know for a fact that he was the one that signed off on it, and we know what he looks like because he's from school.
You know for a fact that he signed off on it. His name is a bit unusual and probably easy to remember, just because it is, very, continental African and unusual. And also, you've seen a picture of him in the library. There is sort of a wall of who's who with professors and instructors and adjunct professors and assistant professors and up-and-coming graduate students that are teaching and PhD students that are running labs. There's like a wall of who's who with names that you can put the names to the faces. And that is how you knew, without actually meeting him, unless one of you may have happened across him in the student union, the wellness center. That's how you instantly recognize him, because he looks just like his picture. Okay. And for East Texas, his just his appearance is something of a singularity. Just his mannerisms and his just the way he looks.
Okay.
Very he looks, I don't know, more cultured perhaps than your average professor might. He looks very kind of effete. Someone who would be quite at home, maybe at a dinner party, and would know, which piece of silverware goes with which course, and which glass to use and stuff like that. That's just kind of how you size somebody up with just one quick look. These are the sort of real quick ideas that sort of come to mind.
So with all this stuff that went down in the copy place, or in the copy machine room, and with Lily Boatwright and all that weird stuff, talking to Sophia and Shep, I take it that this guy probably has I wonder if he has connections to like Forrester or something, because I mean, if he signed off on all that weird stuff, that must mean that he has some sort of connection with all of the, weird tidbits that happen around here.
Possibly. That's possible.
Because, I mean, a lot of stuff went down in there, and not everything that, with that, like, weird electrical stuff also that happened in there, it's like, he's definitely a bit more than, a stressful student.
Just kind of look at Ava and go, well, considering we've been hired by Glenn Mack, several times, and he's worked his way through the faculty and some higher ups in town. I'd say there's a nice weave of people. There's a nice woven basket there.
There are quite a few people, I feel like.
A lot of connections.
Like that.
Right, this guy.
He's one of the people that don't think that Glenn Mack is weird.
Well, he definitely is a doctor, and he's a psychologist or a psychiatrist. um, and is generally well thought of among the student populace as a counselor, as someone that they can come to with their problems. Be it with schoolwork, be it with relationships, being it with trouble fitting in, something like that. Just generally, that's what the just casual observance of rumors would tell you about this individual.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just guessing here, but I figure Shep might have met him in passing just because he worked as a computer tech for the dorms and everything for school freshman year.
Okay.
So he probably, I don't think he knows him, but he knows he's had to like fix a computer or unplug and replug a printer.
What does it mean, this blue screen?
Yes.
And why do they call it the blue screen of death?
Why I can't get it to show me stuff? Okay, turn it on.
Turn it off and on again, right?
Yeah, he seems to have come back to the real world. I guess he his thought was going a mile a minute. Now it's slowed down for him enough to be a little bit more observant of his surroundings, as
Probably
well
all of
as
us just like looking over at him like
old Mary Lynn saying, "Almost closing time," and she probably rings up this gal's well, she looks like I don't know. Looks like her name would be Chloe or something. This girl in the pink dress rings up I don't know, romance novel or something.
Oh, she's cute.
Or it could be, I don't know, could be an astrophysics textbook that she's bought. I don't know. Could be something like that. And before long, she exits the premises. Of course, the bell jingles each time. And no, these people are not really standing outside in a line, like picketing Mary Lynn's used books and Emporium, but I'm just kind of dragging them off. And Dr. Sasemba also makes his way out. And he makes an offhand comment to Mary Lynn, such as the coffee, I don't know what you're putting in it, but it gets better each cup I drink. He says, very tasty. And he opens a door. He pauses for a moment to look at that picture of Kelly King, shakes his head just a little bit sadly, and he's out the door.
Well, at least I know he's a regular here. Like, Shep, you could ask him questions when he comes by next time.